6.1 Factoring polynomials with common factors. It's MA 912, AR 2.5, and 3.8. We want to find the greatest common factor of two or more expressions. We want to factor out the greatest common monomial factor from the polynomials. And then we want to factor by polynomials by grouping. So in examples 1 and 2, in part A, they gave us 5x squared y squared, 30x cubed y. GCF, or greatest common factor. It's what they share in common. That's why it means common factor. So when you look at 5, we have the factors of 5 and 1. 30 is 5 times 6. They both share a 5. That's what they have in common. On the variables, the first one has two x's and the second one has three x's. They share 2 in common. I can pull 2 from the second one. On the y's, they have 2 in the first grouping and 1 in the second one. They share 1 piece in common in the second one. So our GCF is going to be 5x squared y. On B, it says 8x to the 5th, 20x to the 3rd, 16x to the 4th. So you start with your numbers. The number 8 is 4 times 2, 20, 4 times 5, 16, 4 times 4. They both share 1 4 in common. When you look at your variables, there's 5x's, 3x's, 4x's. 3 is what they share in common between the 3 pieces. So the GCF is going to be 4x to the 3rd. On examples 3 to 5, it says factor out the greatest monomial factor from, and they gave us 45x cubed minus 15x squared minus 15x. So you start with your numbers. 45, I think of 15 and 3, 15 is 15 and 1, 15 again, 15 and 1. So they share a 15 in common. On the x's, there's 3 x's, 2 x's, and 1 x. They share 1 x in common. So we're factoring out, which means we're dividing out of each term 15x. So we have 15x in the front of our parentheses. 45 divided by 15 leaves you with a 3. 3x's took 1 away. We have 2 of them. Minus sign. 15 divided by 15 is a 1 with an x, so you can write 1x or just plain x. And then 15 divided by 15 is a 1. There's a minus sign there. The x is canceled out, so this is our result piece. Example 6 through 8, it says factor out the greatest common monomial factor from. They gave us negative 3x to the y second, negative 15x to the second y, plus 12xy. So their numbers, negative 3 and 1, 15. I'm going to do negative 3 and a positive 5, 12, negative 3, and a negative 4. The reason I'm doing negative numbers is because it started out with a negative and I want to get rid of it. So they share a negative 3 in common. The first one has an x, the second one has 2 x's, and the third one has an x. So they share 1 x in common. The y's, the first one has 2 y's, the second one has 1 y, the third one has 1 y. They share 1 y in common. So we're dividing out of each piece negative 3xy. So we see negative and negative make us a positive. So I see negative 3xy on the outside. We become a positive sign. 1x and 1x canceled out. 2 y's, 1 y, I have a y. The reason I know is if I multiply back in distributive, I end up with negative 3xy squared. Negative and negative makes it positive 5. 2 x's left in x, I still have an x. 1 y took the y, there is no y. Positive 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. The x's cancel, the y's cancel. On example 9, it's factored by grouping. So notice that they both share the parentheses 7x minus 1 in common. So what's going to happen is you're going to write 2 parentheses. And in the first one, you're going to write what they have in common, which is 7x minus 1. Then in the second one, it's what was left over. So you write 5x squared minus 3 and you are factored. On B, they both share the bubbles 3x minus 1. In front of this bubble, there's a 1 value that we don't see. It's there, it's just implied. So you get 2 bubbles. And the first one, we write what we have in common, which is 3x minus 4. And the second one is what was left over, 2x and a positive 1. 2x and a positive 1. On C, now on this one it's a little bit different. It says 3y squared times y minus 3 plus 4 times 3 minus y. I want to reorder this one. So we're still 3y squared, y minus 3 plus 4. I'm going to write it negative y plus 3. I don't like that negative there, so I'm going to factor it out. So I'm going to write 3y squared, y minus 3. I'm taking out a negative 1, so it becomes negative 4. I become y. I took out a negative 1, I'm negative 3. The reason I did that is so that both parentheses can match. Now they have this in common. So you're going to draw two parentheses. The first one is going to be the y minus 3 they have in common. The second one is what was left over, so 3y squared minus 4. Example 10 says factor x cubed plus 2x squared plus x plus 2. So notice that there are 4 terms. Grouping only happens when we have 4 terms. So you're going to put parentheses around the first 2 and the second 2 and leave the sign in the middle blank. So parentheses around the first 2 and the second 2, leave the middle sign blank. You're going to look for common GCFs. So in this one, they both share an x to the second power. Here, I'm just going to put a 1 because they both share the value of 1. You're going to put that in front of your parentheses. So now, I had 3 x's, I took 2 away, I have an x. X squared times x is x cubed. 2x squared, took away the x squared, I have a positive 2. X squared times 2 is my 2x squared. I took out a 1, so I'm still x plus 2 out of both of them. Now I notice that the bubbles match. So you're going to draw 2 parentheses. And in the first one, it's their matching term, which is x plus 2. And the second one was what was left over. So x squared plus 1, and you are factored. When we look at example 11, it says factor 3x squared minus 12x minus 5x plus 20. So again, you are going to put parentheses in the first 2 and the second 2, leave the sign in the middle empty. Do not enclose that sign. You're going to look for a GCF. In the first one, 3 and 12, they're both divisible by 3. 2x is 1x, I can take out an x. And the second one, 5 and 20, are both factors of 5, but this only has an x, this one does not, so I can only do a 5. Now, we are going to go into 3x comes out, negative 5 comes out. So 3x squared and took out 3x, I still have an x. 12x took out the 3x, I still have a negative 4. 5x took out the 5, which is negative 5, I'm an x. 20 divided by negative 5 is a negative 4. These two now match. So when you go to your parentheses, the first one is going to be x minus 4. The second one is 3x minus 5, and you are